Hey guys, we got TheBobbKat here, back for another Thursday Night Magic, and I do have yet another booster pack, this time represented by Nissa, one of the Planeswalkers. So, I decided to go with M15 yet again, just because I'm pretty sure there's still a lot of cards that I haven't seen yet in the uncommon and rare and even mythic rare maybe territory. But as for most of the commons go, I have seen most of them. I picked the Nissa pack just because it was one of the only ones that I hadn't opened yet. I was going to go for the Nightfire Giant, but they didn't have any, so I just went with this one. So, just like normal, I'm going to read through the cards, and the uncommons, rares, or mythic rares, I'm going to also tell you the price if they're worth trade value. We start off today with the Thundering Giant, and this is a 5-drop for a 4/3 haste. I really have not much to say about this one, honestly. It's just your typical standard haste card. It's okay. 5 mana. It's okay. Coral Barrier. Okay, so this one's unfamiliar to me, or I'm unfamiliar of it. So for 3-drop, 2 being colorless, 1 being blue, it's got a defender. It's a defender 1/3, and when it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 blue squid creature token with Island Walk onto the battlefield. And if you don't know what Island Walk is, it actually reminds you at the bottom here, it can't be blocked as long as defending player controls an island. So, yeah. So that's where the blue squid tokens come into play from Coral Barrier. But that's only when it enters the battlefield. So, I mean, if you do want to make a flicker deck, this could help. But it's still just a common, not worth that while. Zoff Shade is 1 black, 3 colorless, and it's a 2/2. And if you pay 3, 1 being black, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Not bad in a starter black deck, not bad. So consider it. Consider if you're starting out with a black deck. But yeah, again, all these cards are just commons. So they're much better cards that you could probably use. This one's the Hunter's Ambush. 1 green, 2 colorless, and prevent all combat damage that would be dealt by non-green creatures this turn. I would recommend Fog over this one. M14 and I think M15 Fog for only 1 green mana prevents all. Is it all damage or all combat damage? Either way, I'd strongly recommend Fog over this one. Just thought I'd say it. Scrapyard Mongrel. 1 red and 3 colorless, and as long as you control an artifact, Scrapyard Mongrel gets +2 and +0 and trample. And normally it has 3/3, so you're making an artifact deck. This could be useful in that. I believe this card was also in the intro pack for the blue-red intro pack, the one with all the artifacts and the, yeah. Anyway, so if you're making an artifact deck, this can be useful. We got a Pillar of Light here. 1 white, 2 colorless, instantly exile target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Ooh, yeah, that could be useful. There was a card back in Theros, Born of the Gods, or I can't remember, or Journey into the Next, I can't remember what it was, but it destroys target creature with power 4 or greater and can't be regenerated. I think can't be regenerated. So this almost does the same thing, it just exiles it. So, decent if you're facing a 1 incredibly powerful creature, like say you're facing a 20/20 Consuming Aberration, Pillar of Light will take care of that. Yeah. Hydro Surge. For 1 blue mana, target creature gets -5, -0 until end of turn. Thirsty? As quoted by Drunvalis Hydromancer. Don't know who that is. But this card is good for preventing a huge amount of damage from coming your way. Yeah, so that's what I would use it for. Damage prevention, but nothing more. And then we got a Goblin Rough Rider, which is a 2 colorless, 1 red drop for a 3/2 Goblin Knight. Nothing special about him. And Meditation Puzzle. I think I've pulled a Meditation Puzzle every single booster pack that I've opened in M14. At least since I started the series, I could be wrong. And once again, it's got 2 white and 3 colorless, and it's got a Convoke. Okay, let me be perfectly frank about the Convoke. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but there was a card in which you can Convoke for 1 red, and at that time, I think I mentioned it in episode 1, I didn't know why the hell one red drop would be a Convoke. Well, if you read the damn reminder text, it will tell you that your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 colorless, or 1 mana of that creature's color. Up until that point, I thought it was just colorless creatures. So in this case, I thought you could only tap 3 creatures to pay the 3 colorless, but you could also tap 2 white creatures and pay that off. Just goes to show how much I pay attention to reminder text, and it says right there on the card. So luckily I figured that out before I had to use it and be under embarrassment. Other than that, Meditation Puzzle gives you 8 life. That's it. Anyway, just thought that I should get that out of the way for the benefit of the first episode. Mind Sculpt. For 1 colorless and 1 blue, target opponent puts the top 7 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. For 2 mana, milling 7, decent. Especially if you have a say a Duskmantle Guildmage on the field and activate his first ability whenever... I think it's his first ability. Second ability is mill 2. And his first ability is whenever a card would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, opponent loses 1 life. So Mind Sculpt could lose 7 life from that if you have a Duskmantle Guildmage. But Duskmantle Guildmage is back in Gatecrash of Return to Ravnica, and we're in M15 right now. When Khans of Tarkir comes out, that's going to be out of standard. So, unless Mind Sculpt is M14, then that shows that off. Now we're getting into uncommon. So this is where I'm going to start telling you about the prices of the card. This was the Dauntless River Marshal. For 1 mana, 1 colorless mana, and 1 might mana, you summon a human soldier, 2/1, and it gets 1/1 as long as you control an island, and then you can pay 3 and 1 blue to tap target creature. That's okay in a control, white-blue control. And it gets an additional 1/1. +1/+1 as long as you control an island, so that's probably more than likely going to happen. And he's probably not worth a lot. 15 cents up to this date, so yeah, definitely not worth it. But nice to have a little bit of control either way. Hydre. This is my island in the sky. Wait. And if you understand what I was just mentioning there, you're brilliant. And thumbs up to you if you understand that reference. Although it's Heat Wave, not Heat Ray. But this one is 1 red and X colorless, and it deals X damage to target creature. This would be a really good card if it was target creature or player, but since it's only target creature, I'd rather not use it. I think it's just not worth it. Volcanic Geyser I think can do either or, but I think you have to pay 2 red in order to cast it. I always find myself in rough situations with that card, so I removed it from one of my decks. But other than that, Heat Ray is only 13 cents, so again, not really worthwhile. Zathrid Skyblade. So this is an interesting card. Don't think she's worth a lot. Let me just have a look. 19 cents, okay. But it has hexproof, and 2 colorless and 1 black to drop it for a 2/1. And then you can pay 3 and 1 black and give it First Strike and Death Touch until end of turn, but it also loses hexproof. So that opens it up to sorceries and instants, so watch out for that. But still, First Strike and Death Touch is really good. I think we can all agree. I would use that as a blocking strategy, actually, and hope that somebody doesn't cast a spell in response and destroy it. Because, yeah, First Strike and Death Touch is very useful. There's not a lot of cards out there that I know of that has First Strike and Death Touch. One of them being the, what do you call him? Master of Cruelties. That's it. Master of Cruelties. That's the other card that I was thinking of. But he, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player's life total becomes 1, and he can only tap alone. Yeah, that's the only other card that I know that has First Strike and Death Touch. So this could still be useful. Either way. Our rare is finally something other than a fucking Phytotitan. This is aggressive mining. I was looking at this card, and I was looking at a guy's trade pile that he let me look at today, and I just stopped and looked at it, and one of the other guys that I was with was sort of watching as I looked at it, and then he sort of gave me an explanation as to what it would do. What does aggressive mining do? Well, for 1 red and 3 colorless, you drop an enchantment. You can't play lands, and then you sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards, and activate this ability only once each turn. So what could you use that for? I guess if you have creatures on the field that already give you mana, that's okay. Or if you have some mana to spare, if you're getting mana flooded. But that's very situational in my opinion. You draw 2 cards, and you can't play lands, so it's not like you can play a land and then sacrifice it, draw 2 cards. You can't play lands, unless you can find a way to flicker this card out for a little while. Or return enchantment card to your hand. That could be something. Anyway, how much is it? For this rare, the aggressive mining is 39 cents. So that means it is still of trade value. But I'm just trying to figure out what other situations you could use this in. If you want to, feel free to share your thoughts on how I could use this in a strategy, but I'm completely stumped on this one. So leave a comment below if you know a good way of using aggressive mining. Other than that, I got a plains and just an ad card. Yeah, so I think that's one of my lowest value booster packs that I've ever gotten. But that's okay. I mean, you buy a booster pack, take a risk. I mean, I did get aggressive mining, so that's another one for the trade binder, but I don't know who the heck wants to use this one. So yeah, that's all the time that I've got for tonight Magic. It's Thursday Night Magic. Another booster pack out of the way, still looking for a Planeswalker. And I think I'm going to open up one more M15, and hopefully it's a Nightfire Giant skinned one, because that would mean that I have opened up one of each of the designs since the start of the series, so that would only make sense. So hopefully I can get my hands on one for next week, and if I can't, then it's not going to be M15. I'm probably going to do something else. But until that time, I hope you have a good night. Enjoy whatever Magic cards you're opening or gaining, any Planeswalkers and all that. And yeah, have a good night and enjoy the Planeswalkers.